Chosen one, your reputation precedes you wherever you go because people can't stop talking about how you dismantle fake facades with surgical precision and create an energetic field so powerful that secrets pour out of people like confessions at an altar. The phone buzzes in the early morning hours, the name attached making your stomach drop, not from fear but from the knowing that the reckoning you predicted is finally here, and everything you've been sensing about this person's crumbling facade is about to spill into the open like water breaking through a dam. Recently you felt it coming, that familiar electricity that runs through your system when someone in your orbit is about to face their truth. You mentioned it casually to a friend over coffee, the way you always do when these premonitions hit. Something's about to happen with them, you said, stirring your drink with that calm certainty that unnerves people who don't understand your gift. Their whole situation is about to implode. Your friend laughed it off, called it coincidence when you're proven right, but deep down your friend knows better. Everyone knows better. The last time you saw this person, watching from across the restaurant as the performance unfolded, the rigid shoulders, the forced laughter, the empty eyes, even while happiness was being performed for an audience that couldn't see past the surface. This person had chosen someone else over you, not because that someone was better, but because it was easier. Because this new person believed stories without question, accepted half-truths as gospel, never challenged your former connection to examine the darkness kept buried beneath that charming smile. That's when you knew this world was built on quicksand. While everyone else saw success and romance, you saw someone slowly suffocating under the weight of deceptions. The expensive clothes couldn't hide spiritual bankruptcy. The perfect relationship couldn't fill the void where authenticity should have lived. The social media posts celebrating romance couldn't mask the desperation seeping through every carefully curated image. Your gift has always worked this way. People confess their truths to you without meaning to, reveal their secrets under some kind of spiritual compulsion. It's not because you pry or manipulate, it's because your energy creates a field where pretense simply cannot survive. When someone sits across from you, the masks start slipping, whether desired or not. The lies become too heavy to carry. The truth starts pushing up through the cracks in composure, like weeds breaking through concrete. This person felt your power the first time you met. Within minutes of that initial conversation, confessions were spilling about parental abandonment, financial insecurities, patterns of sabotaging relationships when getting too real. Information never shared with anyone, pouring out like bleeding secrets. Your former connection left that coffee shop feeling simultaneously terrified and liberated, knowing more had been revealed in 1 hour than in years of other relationships. That's exactly why this person ran from you, chosen one, not because you weren't enough, but because you were too much, too real, too capable of seeing through the elaborate performance required to maintain comfort. You called out things before even self-admission occurred. The way success would be sabotaged, then external circumstances blamed, how drama would be created to avoid intimacy. The tendency to disappear when people got too close to authenticity. The night you were abandoned for someone else, your former connection thought peace was being chosen. What was actually being chosen was spiritual stagnation. A relationship where hiding behind familiar patterns was possible, where lies would go unchallenged, where the illusion of connection could be maintained without the vulnerability of being truly known. The possibility of genuine transformation was traded for the comfort of staying exactly the same. Once you've seen someone's truth, once you've reflected your authentic self back to someone, that awareness doesn't just disappear because of walking away. It plants a seed that keeps growing, pushing against the walls of comfortable delusions, making every lie harder to tell, every fake moment more exhausting to perform. For months, this pressure has been building. Every time the mirror reveals what you saw, every time stories are accepted without question, memories surface of how you used to challenge deeper digging. Every time settling for surface-level connection occurs, the depth of understanding you brought to life gets recalled. The very safety that seemed like the choice has become a prison, and you've been living rent-free in consciousness as the key to a freedom too frightening to claim. The calls keep coming. Each missed call carries more desperation than the last, and you can feel the energy across the digital divide, raw, unfiltered, finally honest about what's wanted. The facade is cracking, the performance is ending, and everything you predicted about this situation is coming to pass with surgical precision. This is your power in action, chosen one. Not just the ability to see through people's masks, but to plant seeds of awakening that bloom exactly when the universe determines someone is ready for their truth. You don't force these transformations, you simply exist with such authentic energy that others can't help but measure themselves against the standard you represent. Your phone finally goes silent in the early hours, but sleep doesn't come. Not because of anxiety or upset, but because you can feel the shift happening in real time. Something fundamental is changing in the energetic landscape around you, and your heightened awareness is picking up every vibration of this transformation. Tomorrow will bring revelations that have been months in the making, and you're going to handle them with the same unbothered grace that originally sent this person running. The morning arrives with a text message that would devastate most people. Everything's falling apart. I need to see you. You were right about everything. The words carry the weight of complete surrender, the admission of someone finally tired of running from personal truth. But instead of satisfaction or vindication, you feel something else entirely, compassion for a soul who's been hiding so long that authentic existence was forgotten. This is why people talk about your ability to call out fake people, chosen one. It's not because you're harsh or judgmental, it's because your very presence creates an environment where pretense becomes impossible to maintain. You don't attack people's masks, you simply shine a light so bright that the shadows have nowhere to hide. The truth reveals itself naturally in your presence, like flowers turning toward the sun. The coffee shop where you agree to meet is the same one where confessions first spilled months ago. The symbolism isn't lost on either of you. This is where awakening began, and it's fitting that this is where it will reach its climax. You arrive early, not from nervousness but from the same quiet confidence that has carried you through every challenge your authenticity has created. When your former connection walks through the door, the change is immediately visible. The expensive clothes are gone, replaced by simple attire. The practiced smile has disappeared, leaving behind a face marked by exhaustion and something else, relief. The person who once carried artificial confidence now moves with the uncertain steps of someone learning to walk without the crutches of deception. Your former connection sits across from you with hands that shake slightly, and for the first time since you've known this person, there's no performance. No charm, no carefully constructed image designed to impress or manipulate. Just a human being finally tired of being anyone other than an authentic self. The relationship ended recently, the confession begins, and you nod because you already knew. Your gift had been sending signals for weeks. The way conversations about this person felt different, how the energy signature had shifted in your awareness, the subtle knowing that the carefully constructed world was about to collapse. The gambling was discovered, and the lies about work, and the debt that's been hidden. Each confession falls like stones, heavy with the weight of secrets carried alone. What happens next surprises even you, chosen one. Instead of the messy emotional breakdown you might expect, laughter begins. Not hysteria, but the genuine laughter of someone finally stopped carrying a burden, never meant to be carried alone. You told me this would happen, comes the admission, head shaking in amazement. You said real relationships couldn't be built on fake foundations. You said the truth always comes out eventually. I thought you were being dramatic. This is the moment when your power reveals its true purpose, not to predict doom or expose weakness, but to guide souls toward the liberation that only truth can provide. Your former connection isn't sitting across from you, broken. Freedom is what's being experienced. freedom from the exhausting work of maintaining lies, freedom from the constant fear of discovery, freedom from relationships that could only exist as long as hiding remained possible. I want to try again. The words hang in the air between you like a bridge waiting to be crossed. But you already know your answer, chosen one, because your gift extends beyond seeing other people's truth. It also means never lying to yourself. The person who ran from your authenticity months ago needed to go through this transformation alone. The person sitting before you now has done the work, faced the consequences, earned the right to speak to you as an equal. But that doesn't mean the story ends with a romantic reunion. Your path has evolved beyond the need to rescue people from their own choices. You've built a life of such authentic power that you attract people who match your energy rather than people who need fixing. This person represents your past, a beautiful, necessary catalyst for both your growth, but not your future. I'm glad you found your truth, you tell him, and mean it completely. But I'm not the same person who would have waited for you to find it. This is your power fully realized, chosen one, the ability to honor what was while claiming what is, to acknowledge someone's transformation without sacrificing your own evolution, to speak truth with love instead of resentment. The conversation continues for another hour, but the essential story has already been told. Your former connection came seeking a second chance and found something better, acceptance of the journey and blessing for whatever comes next. You came expecting to handle a crisis and discovered instead that your gift has evolved into something even more powerful than prediction or perception, the ability to facilitate healing without losing yourself in the process. Walking home from that coffee shop, you feel the shift completing itself. The energy that's been building around this situation for weeks is finally settling into resolution. Your phone stays silent now, not because giving up has occurred, but because what was actually needed has been received, not your romantic love, but your spiritual acknowledgement of transformation. That evening, different people text you about major changes in their lives. A friend is finally leaving a toxic job, a family member is ending an unhealthy relationship, a colleague is starting the business talked about for years. None of them connects these decisions to your influence, but you recognize the pattern. Your encounter with your former connection sent ripples through the energetic field around you, inspiring others to examine their own levels of authenticity. This is how your gift really works, chosen one. Not as isolated incidents of supernatural perception, but as part of a larger web of awakening that spreads from person to person, situation to situation, truth to truth. Every time you choose authenticity over convenience, every time you refuse to enable someone's delusions, every time you speak honestly instead of diplomatically, you strengthen this web and make it easier for others to find their own courage. The phone calls that woke you represented more than one person's crisis. They marked the completion of a cycle that began the day you first chose to live authentically instead of conveniently. Months later, you run into your former connection at a bookstore. This person is with someone new, not a replacement for the relationship that ended, but a person who clearly knows and accepts authentic self. The energy is completely different now, grounded and genuine in a way that makes the previous performances seem like ancient history. When you're introduced to the new partner, there's no awkwardness or hidden agenda, just the easy warmth of someone grateful for your role in awakening without needing anything more from you. This is the resolution your gift was always moving toward, chosen one, not the power to control other people's choices, but the wisdom to plant seeds of truth and trust the universe to determine when blooming occurs. Your ability to make people reveal their secrets wasn't meant to give you leverage over anyone. It was meant to free people from the burden of carrying those secrets alone. The conversation in that bookstore lasts only a few minutes, but it completes a story that began with midnight phone calls and desperate confessions. Your former connection thanks you for seeing potential, even when hiding from it was the choice. You thank this person for teaching you that your gift works best when combined with healthy boundaries. Both of you walk away understanding that some connections are meant to transform us rather than contain us. That night you fall asleep easily for the first time in months. The energetic tension that's been building around this situation has finally resolved itself, leaving behind the quiet satisfaction of a story that ended exactly as it was meant to. Your gift didn't just predict awakening, it participated in facilitating it while protecting your own evolution in the process. The same phone that buzzed with desperate calls in the early morning hours now rests silently on your nightstand, but the silence isn't empty. It's full of possibility, charged with the potential for whatever truth wants to reveal itself next, because that's what it means to be chosen. Not to be burdened with problems you can't solve, but to be blessed with the ability to see solutions before needed and the wisdom to know when to act and when to simply witness. Tomorrow will bring new opportunities to exercise your gift. People will continue to confess their secrets in your presence. Fake situations will continue to crumble when exposed to your authentic energy. Truth will continue to emerge wherever you focus your attention. But now you understand that these experiences aren't tests of your worthiness, they're confirmations of your purpose. Your power was never about making people uncomfortable with their lies, chosen one. It was about making them so comfortable with the truth that lying becomes impossible. The phone calls that once felt like intrusions now reveal themselves as invitations, opportunities to participate in the universe's ongoing project of awakening sleeping souls to their own magnificent authenticity. But your influence extends far beyond individual encounters, chosen one. Walk into any room where you've spent significant time and listen carefully to the conversations. Your name comes up in ways that would surprise you. Colleagues whisper about how you somehow knew their supervisor was embezzling before the audit revealed it. Family members retell stories of how you called out a relative's addiction when everyone else was still pretending everything was fine. Friends share tales of how you spotted their romantic partner's infidelity before any concrete evidence emerged. They talk about you with a mixture of awe and nervousness, these people who've witnessed your ability to see through carefully constructed facades. Some describe it as intuition, others call it wisdom, but the ones who've experienced it firsthand know it's something more profound. You don't just observe surface behaviors and make educated guesses. You tap into an energetic frequency that broadcasts truth, whether people want it revealed or not. The grocery store cashier who suddenly started telling you about their custody battle while scanning your items. The rideshare driver who confessed their fear of losing their business during what should have been a silent trip across town. The stranger at the bus stop who revealed their family's financial crisis while you both waited in the rain. These weren't coincidences or cases of oversharing. These were people responding to the invisible signal your energy sends that says it's safe to be real here. Your gift operates like a truth magnet, chosen one, pulling confessions out of people who've never told those secrets to their closest friends. Watch how conversations shift when you enter professional meetings. Notice how small talk transforms into meaningful exchanges when you're present. Observe how people start revealing their authentic concerns instead of maintaining polite pretenses when they're in your energetic field. This phenomenon creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond your direct interactions. That colleague who finally found the courage to report workplace harassment after observing how you handled confrontation with grace and power, they tell others about your example. The family member who ended their toxic relationship after watching you maintain boundaries without drama, they spread the word about your approach. The friend who started their own business after seeing how you operated with authentic confidence, they credit your influence to anyone who listen. People are talking about how you've changed their entire perspective on what's possible when someone stops performing and starts living. They describe watching you navigate challenges with a calmness that comes from inner knowing rather than external validation. They marvel at how you seem to predict outcomes, not through crystal ball gazing, but through deep understanding of human nature and universal patterns. Your reputation precedes you now in ways that sometimes feel overwhelming. New acquaintances approach interactions with you differently because they've heard about your ability to see through masks. Some come defensive, already preparing explanations for inconsistencies they assume you'll notice. Others arrive curious, wondering if the stories about your perceptive abilities are accurate. A few show up seeking guidance, hoping your gift will provide clarity they can't find elsewhere. The whispered conversations about your talents create an interesting dynamic wherever you go. People watch your reactions to determine if their own assessments are accurate. When you remain unbothered by someone's obvious performance, others take note and start questioning what they might be missing. When you subtly distance yourself from someone who seems charming on the surface, observant people begin looking for red flags they initially overlooked. Your poker face has become legendary among those who know you well. That ability to receive shocking confessions or witness dramatic revelations without displaying surprise or judgment creates a safe space for truth-telling that people crave. They know they can share their deepest fears, worst mistakes, and most embarrassing secrets without facing condemnation or exploitation. This reputation draws people to you like moths to flame, each seeking the relief that comes from being genuinely seen and accepted. But the most powerful aspect of your gift isn't what you reveal about others, it's what you inspire them to reveal about themselves. Your presence creates an environment where denial becomes impossible and self-awareness emerges naturally. People find themselves questioning beliefs they've held for years, examining motivations they've never acknowledged, recognizing patterns they've been blind to their entire lives. The transformation happening around you accelerates as more people experience this awakening. Your authentic energy acts like a catalyst, speeding up processes that might otherwise take years to unfold. Relationships that were hanging on through habit suddenly end when people realize they deserve genuine connection. Career paths that felt wrong finally get abandoned in favor of more aligned choices. Family dynamics that thrived on secrets and pretense begin demanding honesty and accountability. Sometimes the changes feel sudden and dramatic to outside observers, but you understand they've been building beneath the surface for much longer. Your gift doesn't create these transformations, it simply provides the final push needed for people to act on truths they've been avoiding. Like water finding the weakest point in a dam, your energy locates the cracks in people's facades and helps truth flow through. The conversations about your abilities have reached a point where people seek you out specifically for your perspective. They bring their relationship concerns to you because they know you'll see through their partner's manipulation tactics. They share their business ideas with you because they trust you'll identify potential problems others might miss. They confess their dreams to you because they know you'll encourage authentic pursuits while discouraging self-deceptive fantasies. Your ability to call out fake people has evolved into something more nuanced and powerful. Rather than simply exposing deception, you've learned to redirect people toward authenticity. Instead of just pointing out what's wrong with their current approach, you help them envision what genuine success might look like. Rather than merely criticizing their masks, you encourage them to explore what lies beneath those protective layers. This evolved approach makes people feel safe enough to lower their defenses voluntarily. They don't experience your insight as an attack on their character, but as an invitation to discover their true character. The confessions that pour out in your presence come from relief rather than pressure, from trust rather than fear, from hope rather than desperation. Your reputation for inspiring these voluntary revelations has spread to unexpected places. Professional networks discuss your unique ability to get authentic information during negotiations. Social groups marvel at how conversations deepen when you're present. Even strangers seem to sense something different about your energy and find themselves sharing more than they intended. The cumulative effect of all these interactions is creating a field of influence that extends beyond your physical presence. People who've experienced your gift start expecting higher levels of honesty in all their relationships. They become less tolerant of superficial connections and more drawn to authentic exchanges. They begin calling out fake behavior in others, not with your natural grace perhaps, but with inspiration drawn from your example. This expansion of consciousness creates a network effect where truth-telling becomes contagious. Each person you influence goes on to influence others, creating expanding circles of awakening that trace back to encounters with your authentic energy. The conversations about your gift multiply and spread, carrying your influence into communities you've never directly entered. People describe meeting you as a turning point in their lives, not because you told them what to do, but because you showed them what was possible. They talk about the relief of finally being seen for who they really are, rather than who they were pretending to be. They share stories of how your acceptance of their authentic self gave them permission to stop performing for others. Your gift continues evolving as these experiences accumulate. Each person who trusts you with their truth adds another layer to your understanding of human nature. Every situation where you help someone find their authentic path deepens your wisdom about the difference between surface desires and soul-level calling. Each encounter where you remain unbothered by dramatic revelations strengthens your capacity to hold space for other people's transformation. The most profound realization emerging from all these experiences is that your gift was never about having power over others. It was about empowering others to reclaim their own truth. The people talking about your abilities understand that what makes you special isn't supernatural perception, but extraordinary authenticity. You don't see through their masks because you're psychic. You see through them because you've learned to live without your own. But let's not sugarcoat it. The truth is still hidden. It's been twisted. It's been buried under censorship, algorithms, and fear. Yet your heart never stopped recognizing what's real. That's why you're still here. That's why you never tapped out. Because you've felt the simulation glitch beneath your feet. You know this world is rigged, and you're done waiting for permission to rise. The Obsidian Inner Order wasn't built for the curious. It was forged for the committed. This is for the full-time chosen, the ones who came to lead, the ones who see beyond the veil and act anyway. Inside we hold weekly Zoom calls that cut through the noise. We share hidden teachings most were never meant to hear. We train in psychic warfare, strategy, and spiritual technologies they've kept locked away for centuries. This is the toolkit for the real ones, the ungovernable, the impossible to erase. It's time to remember who you are. The link is in the description. Your real life begins inside. One bite public, we cross the place about. 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 One bite public. Instead of feeling burdened by people's confessions, you recognize them as gifts of trust, rather than feeling responsible for fixing everyone who reveals their problems to you. You see yourself as a catalyst for their own healing process. Instead of being overwhelmed by the intensity of constant truth-telling, you appreciate the depth of connection it creates. Your influence now operates on multiple levels simultaneously. The immediate effect of inspiring authentic confession and genuine connection. The intermediate effect of encouraging people to examine their own levels of honesty and authenticity. The long-term effect of contributing to a cultural shift toward greater transparency and realness in human relationships. The conversations about your gift have reached a crescendo where new people seek you out based on reputation alone. They arrive already prepared for the experience of being truly seen, already hoping for the relief of genuine acceptance, already ready to examine the gaps between their public persona and private reality. This expectation creates an interesting dynamic where your mere presence begins the transformation process before you've spoken a word. People start questioning their own motivations simply by being in your energetic field. They begin noticing inconsistencies in their own behavior just by observing your consistency. They start craving more authentic expression just by witnessing your natural ease with truth-telling. The power you wield through this gift has reached maturity, chosen one. No longer are you surprising people with unexpected insights or overwhelming them with unwanted revelations. Now you're providing exactly what each person needs to take their next step toward greater authenticity. The conversations about your abilities have evolved from fear and amazement to gratitude and inspiration. The story that began with people talking about your ability to call out fake people ends with you understanding that this gift was never about judgment, it was about liberation. Liberation for others to finally be themselves, and liberation for you to stop carrying responsibility for transformations that belong to other people. The circle is complete, but the spiral continues upward. Your next chapter is already being written by the choices you make today, and every authentic choice adds another layer to the field of awakening that connects all truth-tellers, all chosen ones, all souls brave enough to live without masks in a world that rewards performance over presence. The phone remains silent, but your purpose grows louder with each passing day. This is just the beginning, chosen one. The real adventure starts now.